Good day, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Kevin Hogan. This begins the new series, the 12 New Laws of Persuasion. Over the years, we've talked about things like the law of time, the law of reciprocity, the law of association, the law of contrast, the law of social proof, things like that. And we've gotten a lot of really cool information, and it continues to have neat studies that goes and digs deeper into what we've talked about and fine-tunes all that. And we've talked about in Coffee with Kevin Hogan for years. Today, we begin the 12 new laws of persuasion. So that'll end up with 24. It's like having two sets of 12 commandments all together. So the first one is called the law of choice. About 10 years ago, maybe it was even 20, but a while back, Sheena Iyengar of Columbia University out in California did a really cool study with the gourmet market. She came up with this idea that she wanted to test the power of choice and how it impacts people and their purchasing behavior. And so what she did is Sheena and a couple of students went into a market, a gourmet, real fancy upscale market. And what they did is they set up a table. And on the table, they put 24 jellies and jams. Cool ones. I think they were called Wilkin or Willens jams, I believe it was. I could be totally wrong on that. You got to check. Check Sheena Iyengar, Columbia University. So there's a table of 24 jams, and 60% of all the people that came into the store that day, 60% stopped off at that table and tasted an average of 2 jams. And as soon as they did, they were given a coupon for $1 off of the jam. That is really good. She converted 60% of all of the people who walked in the store, went around and came around to their table, and 6 out of 10 came and tried a jelly. That's pretty amazing. And each of them got a coupon for $1 off, and then they would know whether or not the person went and bought the jam or not later on. Every few hours, they would take 18 of the jellies off the table, stick them under the table, put the flaps back down, and now of the people that are coming in the store, 40% of all the people that walk in the store are coming over to the table, testing about an average of 2 jams each, and they're getting a $1 off coupon. So it's not as effective as having 24 jellies. But ultimately, here's the thing, and a lot of people in the business world make this mistake. Getting traffic is one thing. Converting that traffic into real customers and clients is a whole different thing. So what happens here? We have 60% of the people in the first part of the study are picking up jellies. They're picking up a couple of jellies. They're tasting them. They're getting a $1 off coupon. In the second part of the study, when they rotated out and put in the six jellies on the table instead of 24, 40%, which is still a lot of people, but it's way less, 60 versus 40. That's still way less than what they were getting before. But what happened once those people walked past the jelly stand? What happened with their $1 off coupon as they're approaching the cash register? Are they coming with a jar of jelly in their hand or not? Well, here's what happened. Of the people that walked to the table and tried out the jellies, and that was 24 jellies, that was 6 out of 10, 60% of the people. Only 3% of those people actually grabbed the jar of jelly, took the $1 off coupon to the cash register, and cashed out with it. 3%. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, yeah, but Kev, in business, online, 3% is flat out amazing. You got to be ecstatic about that. That's really good. Well, I am, and that is really good. Except for when they had the table with 6 jellies, 30% of all of the people who stopped by and got their $1 off coupon, grabbed a jelly, and went and cashed out. 10 times as many people who tasted a jam bought when there were only 6 choices. Same jellies, no difference, same jellies, but there were only 6 instead of 24. Cool? Okay, that's the power of choice. But you go, oh my gosh, so how do I apply that? What do I do? Well, there's a lot to talk about in the power of choice. It's a whole book or a whole DVD set all by itself. But here's a few things that you can think about. When people have lots and lots of choices, you walk into the paint store like a Home Depot and you're going to go look at paints. Let's just say that you're not trying to match up a paint at home, but you're trying to actually find a new color to paint the wall in your house. You can't do it. Why? Because there's a palette of like 250 paints just from DuPont alone. And then you have all these other choices, Behr and Sherwin-Williams. I don't know if they're actually at Home Depot or not. But you have all these choices of paints, and there's no way that you could possibly choose one to paint your house. So you're going to grab a bunch of little cards, right? A bunch of little cards to see and decide at home which one of these little 1-inch squares you're going to paint your whole huge house, right? When you have lots and lots of choices, it creates what's called cognitive dissonance. And people freak out when they have 2 or more choices, when 2 or more ideas are occupying the mind at the same time. When this guy's occupying her mind and this guy is occupying your mind, you got a problem, right? So she doesn't know whether to go with this guy or this guy. And here's the thing. 2 things are happening while she's thinking about this, right? Should I pick him or should I pick him? Like in a speed dating situation or just a regular old-fashioned life situation. What's going on here? The longer she thinks about the choice that she doesn't eventually make, the more she'll want that choice when she chooses you. Interesting, huh? So here's the thing. Not only do you have cognitive dissonance about having the choices in mind, but it doesn't end there. Once the choice is already made, if you don't get that choice made right now, she's going to or he's going to develop option attachment to the choice that is not selected, and the person is going to want that choice more after they pick you or your product or your business. That's a pretty big problem. We'll talk about how to solve that in another video. But for right now, just realize that duration, longer duration, if you give a person too long to make a choice, which is usually anything more than 15 minutes, the chances are A, they're not going to make a great choice, and then B, they're going to want all the other options they considered while they were considering this choice. Most people don't need very long to decide. 15 minutes is pretty much a maximum, maybe an hour, but nothing more than that nothing's good going to come from that, because option attachment is going to happen with the other choices. And by the way, the choice isn't always between, buying your product or their product. Sometimes it's between buying your product or not buying a product at all. And the longer the person has the ability to not buy a product at all, the more likely that person is to have attachment to that option later on. What does that mean? That means the longer this person has a chance to think about not owning your product, the greater the chance that they're going to have option attachment for having nothing, which means that they're going to be more likely to return it as well later on. Cool? I mean, not so cool, but good to know, right? So how do you solve this? Well, once you've given a person the choice of the 6 jams, or once you've shown them 3 different cars, or once you've given them a choice of movie A or movie B or movie C, or you're looking through the movie listings, what would it be on? It's not Netflix. It's Flickster. There it is on my iPad. You'd say, well, which one do you want to go see? Do you want to go see the Avengers? Do you want to go see Thor? Do you want to go see Iron Man 3? These are the ones that I know, right? There's probably something else. Ender's Game, that looks pretty good. Ender's Game looks good. Do you want to see Gravity? Gravity looks pretty good. Okay, oh my gosh, there's a whole bunch of choices. The longer that we sit and think about it, the more that option attachment's going to happen. Therefore, you must direct traffic right now. You must say, okay, so if we go see Gravity, we know that's not going to have like this big intricate plot. It's really special effects driven. If we go see Ender's Game, you know it's based on one of the coolest books ever written by Orson Scott Card. That's going to have a great story, amazing special effects. What do you think? It would be really hard for anybody right now to say Gravity over Ender's Game, right? Because both have the great special effects, but this one has a great story to it, right? Okay, and that's what you're trying to do. You make it so blatantly obvious by showing people choices that end up like this in their mind. You do it extremely quickly, so it goes by in rapid fire, 15 seconds, bing, and you have them say, I don't know, what do you want to do? I'll go to Ender's Game. Of course, 98.9% of all people are going to do it when you show it like this, right? So do that. Direct the traffic and make it move quickly once they've had a chance to have all of their choices, right? Here's my iPad, and it's got all the choices there at Flickster, right? And so that's what they could do, or Fandango, right? Now I'm thinking about those. Okay, so those are the choices, and then you direct traffic and bring them to the 2 that make the most sense as having a great night for the 2 of you together, right? Okay, so people do crave direction. They want the freedom of all of these choices. They want all 6 choices. They want all 3 choices. And they want it to be obvious to them that it is their choice. That's really important. If you take away choice, reactance comes in. That's what causes reactance, is when you steal someone else's choice. Reactance is what happens. That's not resistance, it's reactance. So when you start to take away people's choices, you bring in reactance. You can't do that. The person will say no, and they will say no forever pretty much. Therefore, you have to make sure they see all choices. All the choices are in their hands. The iPad is in their hands. They're looking, they're talking about them, and then you direct traffic to the 2 that make the most sense to let them then pick which one, and the person has now made the choice for themselves. We'll pick up with the second law next time around. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.